We haven't done one for a while, so this is a Royal Mint legal action update, and part of it makes me go a little bit, and part of it just makes me really laugh out loud. An expression I don't quite like, but you know, it really does. And so we're going to go through this. I'm not going to read you out everything I write and everything they write. I learnt that mistake. That didn't work before. Took too long. Took me half an hour just to read you one letter. So I'm going to give you more of a synopsis, but I'm going to give it to you in ways that I understand. I'm a layman, and so I generally put things in ways that a layman can understand. You know, I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, but if something's given to me in a way that I understand it, I can get it straight away. So that's what I'm going to try and do, is give it to you in a easy to understand format. Although, now we've got to be fair here. The thing about this whole Royal Mint thing is really centred around wordplay. That's all it's been about. You'd think it would be about something nice and simple, like you go to a manufacturer and you say to a manufacturer, I would like to stock your product. And the manufacturer goes, oh, certainly, sir, no problem. If you'd like to go to such and such a wholesaler, he stocks our product, you can go and buy it from him. And then you go, thank you very much, Mr. Manufacturer. Lovely jubblies. That is as simple as it's supposed to be. But it wasn't like that for us. It started off like that. That's what we went to them and asked. And then we got just no end of grief and blocking and hampering and causing us problems and getting in our way instead of trying to help us, and so on and so forth. And one by one, the special arrangements, special features between the Royal Mint and 288 Group. 288 Group own Westminster Collection and Change Checker, and they are the distributors. And so the Royal Mint say that Westminster Collection and Change Checker are official distributors of the Royal Mint, and that's pure unadulterated lies. It's not. Even by their own standards of wordplay and messing about, it's not, because the people that have the contract with them are 288 Group. 288 Group are the distributors, and how they get around this is they're the distributors and they distribute the products wholesale, nice and easy, to Westminster Collection and Change Checker, their own companies. So this is where all of this sort of comes from, and the unfair business practices involved in this. Like, for instance, 288 Group are the only company in the world allowed to buy loose coin, loose bunts, brilliant uncirculated coins. They're the only people that are allowed to buy it. It's a special deal between the Royal Mint and 288 Group. So they send them loose coin. 288 Group then put that loose coin in their own packaging. And that's where I'm going to stop here, go and get a coin and come back. Now, some people have quite rightly said to me, so what? But I think this is huge. So that's how the Royal Mint, that is a Peter Rabbit 2019. That is how the Royal Mint sells it to 288 Group. 288 Group, which is Change Checker, they make their own packets. So what they do is they put that in there like that. Now we've got it inside a packet. Glue that, bit of glue in there, that's all it is, just a bit of sticky glue. And that's that, right? And then in their advertisements, normally in every title, it says certified. And the certification is that. It's a hologram on the packet. And you'll all know this, you've all got Change Checker stuff, so you go looking at your Change Checker cards and you'll see that on the bottom is indeed the hologram, and on the description or on the title of the item that you bought, especially on eBay, it will say certified. Now, I think that's quite a big thing, because after speaking to 288 Group myself, and saying, what's all this about certified? There's no certificates, nothing. Not even no bit of paper, nothing from the mint. You know, that intimates that it's somehow certified from the mint to be a bunce in some way. That's what certified means, surely. But no, it doesn't. That is Change Checker themselves, or whichever you want to call it, Change Checker. That's them themselves putting that logo on there. So that's like me going, I'm a man, certified I'm a man, because I decide to certify myself as a man. So by the same token, I could certify myself as a cup. If I say I'm a cup, I'm a cup. It's a bit ridiculous, right? Until you start going, and looking at it, they say it's bunts, it's bunts. The certification, the certifiedness, if that's a word, is the fact that they are saying it is what it is. That's all that hologram means, is that is Change Checker saying that's our certification, that is genuine and genuine bunts. It's not like a logo from the mint. It's not like a mint mark or a safety mark or any other kind of mark that you're allowed to put on. They just made it up themselves. What we'll do is we'll put a hologram on and then we'll say it's certified. Change Checker take those loose coins. Oops, it's a bit more of a helicopter. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. That was a Coast Guard saving someone's life, so we've got to let them go and do their thing, haven't we? Anyway, so I was talking about the Change Checker packaging and all the rest of it. So that's how it comes, right? It comes loose and they put it in their own packaging and they self-certificate it, self-certify it. That is quite important. More wordplay, we'll come back to that. That is how it comes from the mint. Packaged. So what we're actually saying really, now when up until about a month ago or whatever, Change Checker put their prices up to £4.50, didn't they? So before that it was £3.99. So, excuse me, they're selling that for £3.99, or they were selling that for £3.99. That costs me, and I don't mind telling you what things cost me because I've got nothing to hide, I've got nothing to keep secret, right? I think as a retailer, customers don't care what it costs you as long as you're giving them a fair deal. They expect you to make a profit, they expect you to pay your expenses, and they expect you to be able to one day afford a Lamborghini, hopefully, if you have a good business model, right? What they don't expect is they don't expect to be lied to and cheated. Customers like a bit of honesty. I know that. £5.70, that costs me wholesale, and I have to buy 1,000 of those, and then I have to pay £100 or £200 to have them delivered, because I have to buy it from the Netherlands, and I order 1,000, they get sent from the Royal Mint over to the Netherlands, and then they get reboxed, repackaged, sent over to me again on another plane, and they turn up here, and I have to pay for all that freight and surcharges. £5.70. They retail that at £3.99. At 2.5 times markup, the retail price of this is somewhere in the region of about £12.95 to £14.95. 2.5, you can work out exactly. So, huge difference, isn't it? Huge difference in markup, huge difference in costs. Now then, what does that cost them? If they're selling it for £3.99, I reckon we've got to be looking at about a couple of quid. I reckon that they're probably paying somewhere in the region of about £1.50 to £2 a coin, because they're buying them loose. So what the Royal Mint is telling us then, if you are to believe that the coin inside this packet is no different to the coin inside this packet, then you're being asked to pay what, 10 quid for packaging. You're being asked to pay 10 quid for some single-use plastic that we now know what the problems are with single-use plastic. Millions of these they make. All, you're paying that just for a bit of cardboard, a bit of paper and a bit of plastic. You're paying around a tenner, 8 quid, a tenner, 12 quid, you're paying for that. Because the actual cost of the collectible coin is only a couple of quid. Now, if it's only a couple of quid, why can't all us retailers retail it out to you at £4.95? That would be fair. We'd all get to make a nice 2 or 3 quid on each one, worth the while. Everybody But no, it's an unfair marketplace because they are the only people in the world allowed to buy this. I have checked and checked and checked. The Royal Mint say in a recorded telephone conversation that Change Checker 288 Group is not the only person that they sell loose coin to. They do sell loose coin to any distributor that wants to buy them. Now, I'm with MNI, and MNI are one of the biggest distributors in the world for coins relating to various mints. They don't just sell them coins from the Royal Mint, they sell it from the Canadian Mint, the Australian Mint, and every other mint in the world from big countries and obscure countries. They stock and they sell their coins. And when I went to them after the phone call with the Royal Mint and said, I would like to buy some loose coin, they went to the Mint and they asked the Mint for the loose coin, and the Mint said, no. Well, I don't know how you want to dissect that, but to me, that's a monopoly. If no one else in the world has got it, and they are the only people in the world allowed to buy it, and they are the only people in the world allowed to retail it, then that is a monopoly. There is no other word for that. It is a monopoly, pure and simple. And we're not allowed to have monopolies in this country. It's against the rules. Fair competition and all of that. That's why, you know, you have to have different telephone companies nowadays. I mean, every single blooming telephone line, it's all owned by BT, or was, but they were forced to allow other companies to use their thing because you've got to have fair competition. This is not fair competition by the Royal Mint, and it's been going on for years, not years, decades. It's got to be stopped. Should you really, am I really talking out of my bottom here, or does everybody in the world, and I know this is not true, I'm being facetious really, to say that you actually are okay with and expect to pay that much money for a bit of cardboard and a bit of plastic? Because that's the difference. And I have to charge you that money for that bit of cardboard and rubbish plastic. I have to charge you that money because I'm paying just about £6 a time for these, as they are wholesale, and I have to put extra on top of that and one thing and another, and yet it's just a coin. And that makes me so flipping angry at times. It's unreal, because you are being blatantly ripped off. So blatantly that it's just in your face ripped off. It wasn't so bad before 288 Group went on eBay. It wasn't so bad then, because you didn't quite understand how you were being ripped off. But now they're on eBay, now they're pumping them out, these loose coins that they're getting as cheap as chips. People are starting to realise, hang on a minute, the only difference between that and that is a bit of cardboard, a bit of paper and a bit of plastic. And they're making us pay all that money for that. It's outrageous, it's disgusting. It's just, that is literally a money bandwagon. It's jumping on a bandwagon left, right and centre. So, that's part of my argument. I have to take a break every now and again, especially when I wind myself, because I'm so easy to get myself worked up. And I don't want to come across like I'm getting worked up, and I could recognise it then, and I thought, no, time to take a break a bit. So, yeah, it does work me up a little bit, works me up a little bit, because I just think it's such an unfair playing field all round. And it's the Old Boys Network. That's what's going on. It is the traditional English Old Boys Network that's been going on for donkey's years, and it's one of those ancient, what do they call it when it goes on and goes on? There's a word for it, and it'll come to mind in a minute. But it goes on and goes on and goes on. Institutionalised. There you go. That's the word. It's just the Old Boys, institutionalised Old Boys network of backhanders and backroom deals. That's what this is about. And I can honestly say that on video, pardon me, to anybody, including the Royal Mint. And I challenge, absolutely challenge now, the Royal Mint to sue me for defamation in any way, shape or form for anything that I'm saying, because everything that I'm saying is bang on the money. But I tell you what won't happen. They won't sue me for defamation, because you can't sue someone for defamation if they're telling the truth. So that's one area, again, another area. So another area, unfair business practices. How many of you know that in 2018 they reminted the puddle duck? coin I'm struggling to get hold of, and by the way, anybody out there that we owe puddle ducks to, please get in touch, tgbch@outlook.com. Please talk to John, and please let's try and sort something out, recredit you or something, or swap it for something else, because it's just taken me forever, and I've now got to the point where I don't even want to do it. It's taking so long to get them that I want to we're not even taking advance orders on them, so I want to cancel that off as much as I can and satisfy everybody as much as I can. So if anybody has got any, please get in touch, let's get that sorted. Anyway, back to the puddle duck. So 2018 they reminted the puddle duck, but they reminted it and put on it a 2016 date. Now you might not think, so what? You might think, so what? You might not think that's any problem at all. Yeah, they only made it a couple of years previous, 2016. So in 2018 they made some more. Well, here's the thing. According to the law, when they make coins that go into circulation, they must give a mintage figure. When they make coins for your silver proofs, they must give a mintage figure. And when they make coins for your gold proofs and all your expensive stuff like that, they have to give a mintage figure. When they make these, and they make these, they don't have to give a mintage figure. There is no mintage figure. Essentially, whatever mintage figure you've got out there, you've got this on top. So it's all very well, for example, saying that 400 aviations went into circulation, but if they made 20,000 of these, then is it fair to say that because only 400 went into circulation intimates only 400 were made, doesn't it? In a way, no one actually tells you that, well, yes, it's a rare coin, we didn't put many into circulation, but we did make 50,000 of these. They don't tell you that, do they? They just tell you, oh, that's a rare coin. And they don't tell you how many of these are in existence and how many of these are in existence, because they don't have to, because the law says they don't have to. Now, the law also says that they can make as many of these as they want, and they can make more of them, and they can keep reminting them. The bit I struggle with is, does the law, and I can't find this out quite yet, but does the law say that you are allowed to backdate? Now, as far as I'm aware, you're not allowed to backdate anything. You're not allowed to backdate the miles on a car to make it look like it's done 100 miles less or 10,000 miles less. People used to do that years ago. That's now illegal. You're not allowed to backdate food for obvious reasons, dangerous. You're not allowed to backdate anything. You're not allowed to backdate a reference. You're not allowed to backdate a check. You're not allowed to backdate anything. Anything that you do must have today's date on it if you do it today. You can't write a letter and put last week's date on it. That's illegal. So as far as I'm aware, anything where you put anything that you backdate, you're not allowed to. That's my layman's understanding, and I'm 56 years old and I've lived in this country all my life, and that is the layman's understanding of the law of the country that I live in, that you're not allowed to backdate anything. So when in 2016 they made the puddle duck, and out of the 13, because you can't count this one is the Peter Rabbit 2019, and this one is not released at all, so you can't count this. They made 14 altogether, including this one. Take this one out of the frame a minute, because that's not released. Leaves 13. Out of those 13, the puddle duck is the rarest. So it just so happens that the rarest of the Beatrix Potter collectible coins, they thought that they would remake it and make more of it. And they did that in 2018. Now, by 2017, people started to realise that the puddle duck was the lowest mintage one, especially when they released the mintage figures. Everybody then knew the puddle duck was the hardest one to find with the lowest mintage figure. So what did people do? We invested in it. You invested in puddle duck, like hundreds, if not thousands of people. Knowing that this was a rare coin, they invested in it, they put money in it. And that coin went up to £8 to £10 was its price by the beginning, January of 2018. it was up to about 8 to 10 quid. It had only been out a year or so, just over a year, and it was already up to 8 or 10 quid each. That was how much it was selling for, right, on eBay and Amazon and so on. So people were investing and had invested heavily in that coin. Then all of a sudden, in the beginning of 2000, and Change Checker, they've been sold out of Puddle Duck for a year. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, suddenly Change Checker's got a load of Puddle Duck again, and they're selling them for $3.99 again. And what happened was, in a backroom conspiracy, and I call it a conspiracy because a conspiracy, by definition, is where two or more people talk about something. That is a conspiracy. Whether that is a conspiracy of good or a conspiracy of bad is a separate issue. The sheer fact that two people or more talk about something means that you're conspiring, you're chatting, you're having a conspire, you're chatting away about it, right? That is what that means. So, where they talk about conspiracy, and conspiracy being a worse crime than the act and all the rest of it, is because if you have 2 or 3 people talking about burglary, and then they go out and do the burglary, or one of them does the burglary, the other people that were talking about doing it and were involved in it, they'll get done for the same sentence or a higher sentence, because conspiring to do it is treated in this country as a more serious offence than actually doing it, as it were. Probably because it's cold, premeditated conspiring as opposed to just doing something off the cuff. I find this important because it would not be possible at all under any realms of comprehension for the Royal Mint to have made more Puddle Ducks without having a conversation with 288 Group. It's not possible. A conversation had to ensue. A conversation had to happen. And that conversation was between 2 or more people. And therefore, those people conspired with each other to do that. Whether that's illegal or not, I'm not too sure yet. I'd like to bring a private prosecution, to be honest. I've got to go and speak to, like, a chief constable if he'll talk to me and say, you know, what are you prepared to do about this? But anyway, the point is, they conspired. They chatted. So if it's illegal, they've conspired to commit an illegal act. If it's not illegal, then they've just conspired, and they're allowed to conspire, as we all are, about something that's not illegal. So in order for that to happen, there had to be a conversation. That means there had to be a deal made, and that deal is a backroom deal as far as I'm concerned, because it wasn't made in the public forum, it wasn't made openly, it was a backroom, hands under the table, handshake, paper bag deal as far as I'm concerned. And so it shouldn't be allowed. Now, the other thing that shouldn't be allowed is the fact that they actually minted it with a 2016 date. I really don't believe that that should have been allowed to happen, because there is no distinction between the coin that was made in 2018 and the coin that was minted in 2016. There is absolutely no distinction. Now, at least with the new coins that have come out, the new 5 coin set, 50p's, Roger Bannister, Girl Guides, Boy Scouts, and the Britannia and the Kew Gardens, every single one of those coins is a carbon copy of the original. A carbon copy in every way, so that when you look at the picture, you cannot tell the difference. It is the same coin. But you know the difference because you just flip it onto its head side and you see that it's got a 2019 date on it. So now you know the difference. They were made for 2019 and they were given a 2019 date. Why didn't they put a 2009 date on the Kew Gardens? If you're allowed to do that, why not do that? Why suddenly, oh, the Puddle Duck, we can backdate that, but we don't backdate any other coin. It's just incongruous. It just all doesn't make sense to me. You know, you do one, you either do one thing or you do the other. Mixing it up like that doesn't work. It sends mixed messages and all the rest of it. So they didn't do it with those coins. You can easily distinguish the new Kew Gardens from the old Kew Gardens because the old one's 2009 and the new one's 2019. However, you cannot distinguish between the old Puddle Duck and what you can call the new Puddle Duck. The two coins were both given a 2016 date, and I think thousands of people were ripped off blatantly ripped off, and to the point where they do it so blatantly they don't care. And they don't care that you know, and they don't care that you know that they don't care. They just do it. And I think that's all wrong too. So that's another one of my arguments with the Mint. Sorry about this. I did tell you it would be a long one though, didn't I, for this update? So another part of what's been going on is that, and this is where this particular part of the row came from, was because, like any other businessman, I'm looking at the amount of products I'm buying from the company in the Netherlands and how big that's going up. We're becoming quite a big retailer of packaged products and so on. So I figure, well, it'd be a cool idea if we could say we are official Royal Mint retailers, which is what I saw us as being. And I was told that we're not allowed to call ourselves official Royal Mint retailers. And the reason that we're not allowed to call ourselves Royal Mint official or official Royal Mint retailers, the reason that we're not allowed to call ourselves that is simply because they say they did not specifically point us to one single supplier. They say they gave us a list of suppliers to choose from, and we chose the supplier in the Netherlands, and therefore the fact that we're buying our stuff from the Netherlands is our own fault, basically. So I'll just read you an excerpt because I've had a recent communication from Chris Inson from the Royal Mint, and he says, might read you that bit in a minute, but he says, essentially, his letter says, I'm not interested in answering your letter paragraph by paragraph. I've just received your letter. I'm not interested in answering it paragraph by paragraph. I refer you back to my letter of the 24th and I stand by it. That's what he says. Well, his letter of the 24th says, you approached us to buy a Royal Mint product directly from us. As you did not satisfy our selective distribution criteria, we need to come back to that, we provided you with contact details of Royal Mint distributors, with an S on the end, including MNI. Details of our distributors are of course freely available on our website, so anyone can look at this and contact them. You have then purchased Royal Mint product from MNI. We do not give any instruction to any wholesaler, including MNI, as to whom they may sell to as you suggest. Any arrangement at that level is entirely a matter between MNI and their customer. So they've stated that they gave us a list to choose from, and the only reason that we can't call ourselves official Royal Mint retailers is simply because they gave us a list with many distributors on them, and we chose a particular one and decided to go to the Netherlands, which is all load of lies and rubbish, absolute lies and rubbish, and I can prove it's lies and rubbish. And when I answered it in my latest correspondence, he responds back with, I'm not even going to bother answering you. So let's look at their wordplay games, right? The only reason we're not allowed to call ourselves official Royal Mint retailers is because they gave us a list with many on it. So what they're saying is, if we'd given you a list with only one supplier on it, if that's what we did, then you would be endorsed, you would be official retailers. But we didn't. We gave you a list. A load of rubbish. You gave me one. They gave us a list, and on that list was only one supplier. So by their own wordplay and by their own definition, we are official Royal Mint retailers. Even if they don't know what they're doing, even if they don't know, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, even if he's not getting correct information from the people he's asking, because they're all giving him rubbish, not giving him all of his letters contain lies and deceit and fabrication and wrong and misquotes everything. So they're telling us the reason why we can't be an official retailer, but at the same time, they're also telling us how we could be an official retailer, because if we were directed to one particular site, then it blows their entire argument out of water. And then they go on to start telling me off and threatening me with the police and all that, telling me I'm fraudulent and all the rest of it. Load of rubbish. Now bear in mind, he told us in that letter of the 24th of May that he gave us a list. They furnished us with a list of distributors. It's not true, but that's what he says. And we can choose to buy if we want. Now, this is the list of distributors, not furnished by them, furnished by one of you. One of you gave me the link to this because I couldn't find it, and I've got the list of distributors. And on that list of distributors, we come to the UK. And here, look, can you see what's on it? Westminster Collection is listed as an official distributor, and so is this company. UK distributors they are. And that is Lake District Estates. So we've got Westminster Collection and Lake District Estates are both listed on the Royal Mint website as official Royal Mint distributors. And Chris Hinson is saying in his letter of the 24th that he gave us their details. And he says in the letter of the 24th that we can freely choose and go and buy from them. Now, obviously, I'm going to keep reiterating, he did not give us any list. They were not on the list that he gave us. There was only one company on that list that he gave us, and that was MNI. If you approach any of these two companies, and do it yourself, you know, don't take my word for it, but see who they are, do a bit of digging, get their phone number and find out and all the rest of it, and you try and buy wholesale off them. Two companies that the Royal Mint put on their distribution advertising page for public and business are two companies that refuse to sell wholesale. So how the hell can they be classed as distributors? Now, I printed them both off. Lake District Estates, never heard of it, don't know what it is, but when you click on the link, you don't go through to Lake District Estates, you go through to Rabbit Rabbit, and it's a website where you can buy rabbit coins. Well, you buy rabbit stuff. You buy all sorts of rabbit stuff, and there's rabbit coins. So this is a shop, really, specialising in Peter Rabbit stuff, as it says, Peter Rabbit and Friends, Rabbit Rabbit. This is a shop, a retail shop, that specialises in Peter Rabbit stuff and all the rabbit-y stuff, and so sells the rabbit coins along with its stuff. They don't distribute. So that is a private company making money. Oh, no different to mine. Private company, private. Doing no service whatsoever to retailers or dealers or anything like that. Just selling retail. Both those companies, them and Westminster Collection, and Westminster, as you know, are a company that they restrict you to the number of items that you can buy. You can only buy 3 items or 6 items or 9 items or whatever. The only way you can buy more is if you buy off eBay, and you're restricted on eBay to a maximum of 10 items every 10 days. And the reason that you're now restricted, you wasn't restricted on eBay, even though Change Checker on their website restricts you, and even though they restrict you on their Westminster Collection website, they didn't restrict you on eBay, not for 2 years, until I come along. And then because of us, and because of the amount we bought off them, they didn't like it, and so they barred us and everybody else from buying any more than 50 items every 10 days. So if you're looking at buying anything in bulk off the Westminster Collection or Change Checker, don't bother buying it off their own website, go to eBay. Or buy it off their own website, the maximum that you can buy, and then go on eBay and buy another 50. It's rubbish, isn't it? It's, you know, this maximum you can buy this, maximum you can buy that. It's all sales lies and rubbish, and it's all this, and it's all between the two businesses. It's all between the Royal Mint, not everybody at the Royal Mint, just certain people at the Royal Mint with the backhanders and all the rest of it, and 288 Group. I also printed off the Westminster Collection one as well, went on it and printed it off. I don't need to show you that, you already know that, you've been on it yourself like no end of times. But I needed that for evidence and stuff. So it starts to look all childish and silly, doesn't it, really? So what was we going to next? I'll just pause and then get to the next bit. So the letter that I've just received from Chris Hinson at the Royal Mint I write in response to your letter dated 27th of May 2019, I do not propose to respond to the same on a paragraph by paragraph basis, as doing so would only amount to a repetition of the points made so far and would be futile for both parties. The only reason he doesn't want to answer anything that I've said on a paragraph by paragraph basis is because I've completely demolished his argument. I've demolished it, blown it out of the water. He's got nothing to say on it. So how can he come back and defend it? He can't in any way whatsoever. So it's a lot easier for him to say, do you know what? I'm not even going to answer you. Yet, that's his job. How much is he paid? £1,000 a week? £2,000 a week? What do you reckon he's getting paid? I reckon he's not on less than £2,000 a week. My gut feeling is 1,500 to £2,000, 1,500 to £2,500 a week is what his wages are. And he's paid to deal with all of the legal issues because he's the head legal man. And he can't be bothered, he can't be asked. I do not propose to even bother. I'm just going to come into work, put my feet up on the desk. I'm not even going to bother to answer people and do my job. Oh, that makes me so fucking angry. Given the impassable disagreements we share, I can only reiterate and refer you to the contents of our previous correspondence, in particular, our letter of the 24th of May 2019. Now, he does say any failure to respond expressly to any paragraph or point raised in your letter, however, should not be treated as acceptance of the same. Sorry, Mr. Inson, but I do. If you can't argue what I've said, if you can't demolish what I've said, if you can't prove and show that what I've said is false and what you're saying is correct, then I do treat the fact that you do not bother to even answer those points as an acceptance of the same. You're accepting what I'm saying, you just don't want to say that you're accepting what I'm saying. And I know that you're accepting what I'm saying because you can't be asked to answer what I'm saying, even though I'm making valid points. So, by referring back to his letter of the 24th, which we've got here, we'll do exactly what he says. And according to his letter of the 24th, he has put it in writing himself that we were actually only given one. Well, he hasn't put that in writing, but what he's agreed to, whether he realises it or not, is the fact that he only gave us one place and one place only to go to means that he authorised it. The Royal Mint authorised us to go and buy off of that person. Therefore, we are authorised, and as far as I'm concerned, and from now on, we are official Royal Mint retailers, whether they like it or not. However, according to him, we're not. We're distributors. I know, it gets even more silly. I know, it does. But on the back, with regard to your interpretation of the word distributor, and remember, he's now referred us back to everything he said in his letter of the 24th. Interpretation of the word distributor. Again, we seem at odds. Thank you for sharing an extract, blah, 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 from the news agency. So he obviously went on and did the same Google search I did. In fact, there is no formal legal definition, certainly under the laws of England and Wales, of a distributor. We have never agreed or acknowledged a formal legal definition of the term with you because it does not exist. As a concept, a distributor is simply someone who buys goods or services from a manufacturer or wholesaler and resells them on its own behalf to its customers. Got it? As a concept, I'll go over that bit again. A distributor is simply someone who buys goods or services from a manufacturer or wholesaler and resells them on its own behalf to its customers. That's what a distributor is. That's us and you, isn't it? Isn't it? You're the customers. It's my customer base. I sell to my customer base, that's you. So, simply the fact that we buy Royal Mint products and we resell them, that makes us distributors. Okay, I'll take that. I wasn't looking to be class myself as a distributor, but I'll take that. So, that does us a favour. So we can, by their own words, call ourselves distributors, because we buy their products, we sell them to our own customer database, and that is you. So we are distributors by their own words. Great. So we don't need to call ourselves official Royal Mint retailers anymore. We call ourselves official Royal Mint distributors. Now, if you want to go one step further, we could say we are certified official Royal Mint distributors. We're distributors because the Royal Mint says so. We buy official Royal Mint products. They officially directed us to one single solitary place in a different country to buy their products from. So we're authorised. And if I just certify myself, remember, I said I'd come back to that. That's them certifying themselves, remember? So if I just certify myself and say, I certify, then we're certified. So now we're certified official Royal Mint distributors, which I don't see that anyone can argue with, including them. And that's the next letter they're going to get off me. So that's where we are up to with that. We've got £6,000 in the account, thanks to you. And I tell you, I am so tempted to put the guarantee up to like 10 times the value. I'm not going to. You'll get 10 times the value if we get 10 times the value, let me put it that way. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep guaranteeing the 3 times the value, that what you put into it, you get back. And if we do happen to lose, how the hell we can lose, I have no idea. But if we do happen to lose, you'll get 3 times your money back in points. But believe me, if you've been sitting on a sideline, if you've been sitting on a fence and you've been thinking, well, I'll see how this goes and I might put a few quid into it, now you couldn't pick a better time to put something into it, because you'd be doing it knowing that we've got them beat hands down. On every single point that they've thrown back at me, I have demolished it and beat it. And the one thing that they keep saying at the end of every letter is, we urge you to seek legal advice. And I've kept refusing to do that so far. And I don't think I need to. Why do I need to spend your money on a solicitor doing something that I can easily do? I've demolished him myself easily enough. I don't need a solicitor to do that. He hasn't been, I don't mean this to sound arrogant either, but he's not good enough. You know, he hasn't beat me yet. He needs to beat me before I can go to a solicitor. I need to go to a solicitor and go, mate, what the hell do I do here? I don't need to do that to a solicitor. I can tell a solicitor what to do here. So that is looking after your money as far as I'm concerned. I'm not being too arrogant. I'm not being overly confident. I know what I can do, and I know how I can respond to people, because I'm not a daft man. And I've been in situations before dealing with legal bods and all their threats and intimidations and all the rest of it. And it's nothing to me. Whereas it frightens some people, it doesn't scare me one little bit, because I've been threatened by people like that so many times in my life. And they're all full of hot air and wind, nothing else. They don't put their money where their mouth is, they just threaten it. So I reckon we have them on the run. I reckon we're going to win the court case when we get the court case, and the payout is going to be astronomical. The letter that I'm writing to Mr. McDade, which is as far as I'm aware, the chief boss of the Royal Mint, is I should be selling him that we will be claiming £10,000 a day from November 2017. I can't give you the exact date because I can't remember it, but there is a date in 2017, and from that date we'll be suing them for £10,000 a day. Now you add that up from 2017 November to now as to what that can potentially come to, and I can justify £10,000 a day by the amount that we would be able to sell if we had the same product at the same price. So that's what we're going to be suing them for. That's the amount I'm going to be going in for, £10,000 a day from then. There's 365 days in a year. That's 300. So that's £10,000 a day. Will be something like 3.5 million a year. The payout will be astronomical, as I said from the beginning, and they will have to cover any and all losses. They will have to cover all the postage costs to MNI from Europe, all this kind of stuff. I've told them I'm billing them for, because by their own words, they've said that I could easily go to a UK distributor and buy, and that's a load of old toffee. So they can pay for the postage. So the payout will be a phenomenal amount, as is the length of this bloody DVD video thing. I think it's gone on for about half an hour now, 35 minutes. I don't even know if it will get uploaded. We better stop. So if you'd like to put in, and from now on, you get 20% back immediately. Don't know if you realise that, but because of the new system and the new benefit to you from the taxman, VAT and everything else, you actually get 20% back immediately. So when you spend £1 now, you get 20 points back, which is 20p. So when you spend £10, you get 200 points back, which is £2. So you're getting 20% back on your spend. So if you put £10 into this, you get £2 back straight away in points that you can spend if you pass by bank transfer. You get 11% back if you pay normal with your card, and if you pass by bank transfer, you'll get, pardon me, a total of 20% back. So right now is a phenomenal time, a brilliant time to jump in with this, whether you want to jump in with 25 quid, or I think the largest one we had was about 750. Whatever you want to jump in with, only do what you can afford to do, only do what you can afford to lose, because we really don't know. No matter how confident I am, I have to say, you know, you never know what's going to happen. And just like they say, you know, you have to say investments go up as well as they go down and all the rest of it. Well, and it, you know, something could happen that I'm not clear about or whatever, or understanding of whatever. I have to say we could lose. Let me just put it that way. We could lose, but I can't see how we can lose. I really can't. We've got them by the nuptials, and they don't realise how tight a grip we've got on their nuptials right now. They really don't realise it, and they won't really until they start getting that court paperwork through the letterbox, letting them know that they're being taken to court for 10 grand a day. So I would imagine that like 2 years is going to be 7 million or something like that. That's the kind of money we're talking about. So that's why, you know, all of the reasons I've given you in this video and all the updates I've given you on everything to do with the reasons, that's what this is all about. It's about demolishing this old boys network, backroom deals, way of doing business, and doing business properly with the Royal Mint, a company that should be above all else, above everybody else, squeaky clean. Okay, so that's it. If you want to put in, please put in. We'd be grateful for it. I hope the information I've given you is okay. If you've got any comments, please do leave them on the video on YouTube. That's where I go. I don't read the comments much on Facebook. I don't get the time. Morag deals with that. But I do read the comments on YouTube, and I do put a thumbs up. You know I've read the comment because I'll give a thumbs up. So that's it. I hope I haven't sent you to sleep, and I hope the information was interesting, and I'll let you know more as time goes on, but I'll probably only do one of these every few weeks. All right, many thanks. Bye for now.